Okay, everyone, welcome to Equine Episode Examination, where today we'll be talking about Apple Family Reunion, Season 3, episode number 8 of Season 3 here on episode Flashback. So, welcome to the show. If you're new to this, pretty much what we're doing right now is, now that we're in the hiatus until May, when Season 6 will begin up. We're just going through some of the previous episodes of the show and kind of talking about them, giving our thoughts on them, reviewing them and discussing them with all of us here and everyone in the chat. So, obviously, everyone in chat is encouraged to participate in this discussion and bring up topics. We'll be kind of starting with a more broad discussion and then moving in and kind of honing in on specific things after that. So, I'm Rain Shadow, and here's everyone who wants to introduce themselves that's on the stream today.
I'm Mr. Ben. Forgive me, I'm kind of eating while I'm at the same time. I just got in like a few minutes before we actually started, so...
Mr. Ben, the expert multitasker.
Yep, I'm still just nomming on lunch while we're taking care of stuff, so...
I'm Jay Smith.
I'm Matt, I think. Last time I checked.
Matt is pondering life after what he's been playing earlier, so pardon him if he seems out of it. Correct.
When am I ever in it?
Well, definitely not after CQ Riffs or any of your normal streams. So yeah, welcome everyone. Gosh, where to? I lost track of my mind thoughts. So I guess we'll dive right into it. I don't have anything else to say introduction-wise. So this is Applejack episode. One of the first ones, and quite a bit to focus on Applejack. What's everyone's initial thoughts on the episode?
My parents are dead!
all those barns that hate black people.
Of course, we had to reference that.
Actually, the most. I'm gonna be honest. This isn't the most memorable of episodes, in my opinion. I mean, that's not to say that the episode's bad in any way, shape, or form. But I think the most telling thing about this episode, I think it's like the sort of underlying like crossover mark from how this show has evolved, because it's the very last episode that has a letter to Princess Celestia.
Very true. Yeah. There's not many this season even that have letters either.
The only reason I think there was one in this episode is simply because Applejack had never actually given a proper one to Celestia. No, the one in Super Cider Speed.
I don't know. I don't learn nothing.
Yeah, exactly. The Super Cider Squeezy 6001 doesn't count.
Celestia, you don't learn
really
anything.
It's like a trollololol basically sent to Princess Celestia.
Yeah, I would say I would concur with Matt on this one. It's a good episode. I don't have anything really negative to say in that respect. But especially compared with kind of the past 3 or 4 episodes, it's definitely not quite as memorable or have as much of an impact as those episodes did. I think one of the reasons is because the past 3 episodes are really episodes that had either a lasting impact or involved characters that were, had been brought back, like Trixie, or, with Sleepless in Ponyville.
Hey, they brought Babs back. What do you mean?
Yeah,
I'm
like 3 episodes after she was introduced.
Yeah,
I know,
but yeah, but with that, and of course with Wonderbolt's Academy again dealing with all of that, and that's obviously been referenced a lot in future episodes. And of course Sleepless in Ponyville being Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash, and of course that's been referenced many times going into the future. All those episodes did something that has sort of continuity-wise been continued on, where this one didn't really have one. It was a lot more kind of a slice of life episode. that it didn't have a ton of impact on the series going forward. So I believe that would be why it doesn't quite as memorable, both because of that and also just because it's coming after 3 or 4 episodes that have had a lot more of an impact.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing for
No,
any.
definitely not.
I mean, when you have a show that goes as long as this show has. I mean, how many episodes have there been now? 117 at this point. Obviously, there's still another 26 to come, plus whatever else they've got planned. At this point in time, yeah. Exactly. Plus, and then you've also got the Equestria Girl stuff if you want to count that as well. Yeah, and that there's always going to be an episode that's it's sort of something that's serviceable, but if you watched it, you wouldn't be upset that you did, and that's sort of where this sort of episode sort of falls for me. It's like not bad, not like there's not anything in it that I would say is questionable or unobjective, but by the same token, it's not one that you're going to be like, other than perhaps Raise This Bar on the song, there's not a great deal that you would say is something that you would like pick out and say, oh, I remember this scene from the episode. I think the only other scene I would say is memorable is the fruit bats, obviously, the attack from them, which interestingly enough originally was going to be Timberwolves, not fruit bats. That's what Cindy Morrow apparently had tweeted at some point, or said at some point, saying that originally they were going to be Timberwolves and not bats. I don't know whether it was changed because they were then used in Spike at Your Service, but I'm not too sure about that one.
Maybe that was something. It could have been something down the line, production-wise. Maybe they were going to do that, but it was just going to be too much on the animation for it, where they went with something a little simpler with their appearance and Spike at Your Service, or they were already in that episode and they just couldn't afford maybe to put them in another episode, so they went with something simpler.
Well, especially if they went with CG for those.
Yeah.
And obviously that was sort of like the first time that they'd really attempted anything like that with this show.
Yeah, and I think that was also another ease of use kind of factor with them, because they were such kind of complex character models that they kind of experimented with having them with CG. It was just easier to animate with that than in Flash.
I mean, it may not even be that reason. It could well be from a narrative standpoint, because I think the bats make a little bit more sense in the sense of how they get attacked. So it could even be just a narrative reason. But she never elaborated on exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of
yeah,
pondering.
Pondering what I'm pondering, brain. Pinky even.
Yeah, but why do we need shower caps?
Why would anybody? I think so, brain. But why would anyone of Pierce Brosnan?
But yeah, and on back to the fruit bat point, that is something that was kind of slightly referenced in season 4 with the vampire fruit bats and the bats episode as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they want a more flavorful fruit pun with the fruit bats.
Taste the rainbow.
We had enough apples in this episode.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Type that. There we go. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to the discuss the story and the writing of the episode. As Matt mentioned earlier, this episode was written by Cindy Morrow. Not sure. I think this is her. Is this her only episode?
I think she did 2 episodes. I think she did 2. I think she did a later one.
She
did 2 episodes this season. I'm sure she did.
What?
She didn't do any episodes in season 4. I know that.
Come on, the Friendship is Magic Wiki has a page for her, but then it doesn't actually list the episodes she's worked on in this show. So
that's good.
Thanks for that. That helps.
Brilliant.
I'd have to go back to the episode guide, I guess. But yeah, I think Matt's right. I think she did write one later.
For you.
Thank you. But yeah, she's the writer of this episode. So what did everyone think of the storyline here and the writing?
It was another. Well, once again, it was another case of AJ. They get kind of, you becoming prideful and trying to bite off more than she can chew work-wise. Or at least she made it to where it was too much. She put too much work for the rest of the family to put into. That kind of wrecks everything. At first.
Mm-hmm.
Just to quickly interject, she also wrote One Bad Apple. This
really? No.
Yes.
Huh.
So she wrote both of the Babs episodes.
I forgot that she was written that particular one then. But yeah, on the point that that GE made there, it was kind of like biting off more than she could chew in a lot of ways, but I think it was also a little different than the episode you're referencing there would be
like Applebuck season.
The Applebuck season in the beginning. But I do think that they went with a kind of different take on that. It wasn't really about her biting off more she could chew. It was more about her misunderstanding kind of what the point of a family reunion was, and she was really trying to go all out to make this the best it could be, and she was really along the way completely misunderstanding all of the reasons why they did all of these things. Like for example with the Cole quilt thing, where it's like, oh, you've been working on that quilt for all these years now. It's like, yeah, I don't think we'll ever finish it. And obviously the point of that is it's not about finishing the quilt, it's about getting together every year and talking with the other people who are making the quilt, and you make something new every year and add it to it. And it's kind of becomes like a family heirloom, but it's not something you're looking to finish. But of course, Applejack kind of takes that as what you've worked on it all these years and you've never finished, and she instantly starts pondering like kind of how she could help them finish the quilt, kind of thinking there's a problem there when there wasn't a problem.
And I even got that like right when she mentioned that. I was like, oh, I like, well, obviously you're not going to finish it because this is one of those, like you said, one of those family things where it's supposed to be added on with every successive generation.
Yeah.
But the only thing that it would ever be finished is if the thing got caught in a fire and the whole thing was lost.
Or if it got so big it covered the whole of Equestria.
Yeah.
Instead, she decided to go the extreme route and essentially turn the entire family reunion into a sleigh drive, and work out, finish that coil down at a rapid pace, and then she makes all the people making the fritters churn up at a rapid pace.
So in other words, it's like working for Rarity then.
Yeah, and a lot of it is because there's so many people here. Oh, we gotta make sure everyone has enough food, but losing sight of the actual priority, which is actually getting to spend time with people that you haven't seen for years or might not see again. And speaking of that, we did get a little kind of subtle nod to Applejack's parents as well, when Granny Smith's talking about, well, we got to make this the best it can be because we've never really had so many people together before, and who knows how many these people might not be there for future reunions, and they kind of had those two kind of like shooting stars going through the sky there, and also at the end of the episode there. So kind of that kind of worked to kind of drive Applejack's kind of over passion for making this kind of like the best reunion ever, because of that.
I just love the fact that probably the most organised was Apple Bloom, because she was the one that sent all the. It looked like she was the one that sent all the invitations out and had got them all organised. Pretty like decently.
Who's
It
coming?
was like, it's like, who's coming? I sent it out to all the people. So who's coming? All the people. What do you mean? All of them. All of the people. All of the ponies are coming.
Even the people we didn't invite.
Yeah, like the creepy uncles and aunts.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the kind of the roundabout way that they kind of go about talking about their parents in this, rather than just coming straight up and saying my parents are dead.
And then they make it more obvious later on in Crusaders of the Lost Mark, but.
Hey, they should just give her a pair of glasses and take her off to magic school.
I believe people. I think people did. People did go through those pictures that they showed and try and find who might be the parents there. I think, from what I've watched in the episode and what I've seen, I don't think her parents were in either in any of those. I think that they purposely picked years to have shown for those, because they only show 3 years. She only kind of skims through 3 years of pictures of that, and I think they very purposely showed very specific times that were before and after her parents died.
Also, thanks, show. You still don't explain how long a moon is. I mean, is it just how long for me to pull my pants down to show my ass?
Well, Luna's probably about, what, 5 feet long?
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, time period in length.
Just in case if anyone was able to hear that smacking sound I just made with me mentally slapping Rain Shadow in the back of the head.
Oh, that's what that was.
But yeah, I mean, apparently it's 100 moons, which I would assume is a fair amount of time.
Well, the moon comes up almost every night.
Yeah, but I think it's longer. I think it's like a moon, some sort of cycle.
It seriously, it refers to the moon cycle. Every time there's a full moon.
We don't know how long that is in Equestria. That
exactly,
could be
they never go into that.
It's just a random amount of time, like they say, 1,000 years.
Well, Matt, to continue that stupid the real length of the moon is 3,475 kilometers in diameter.
No, but that's our moon. What about Equestria's moon?
Okay.
But yeah, they purposely leave that vague, not so they don't write themselves into a corner.
Well, it's even so, even if they have the family reunion, I mean, going off of Earth standard, 100 moons would be about 25 months, which would be about a little over 2 years. So
that seems reasonably possible.
Yeah,
I've always felt like their reunions happen a lot further apart than that, though. Just from how they're reacting and how they're talking about that, everyone, it really seems like it's a longer time between reunions, like more like 4 or 5 years.
And it could also be the fact that they're probably just saying that has like a sort of an expression. Like, it's not like actually 100 moons ago. It was probably just they're just using it as an idiom to say it was just a long time ago. Yeah.
I mean, pretty much that's what they're doing in the episode. I don't think they have gone and actually calculated exactly how long they want it to make. Because, like I said, we don't know. We're obviously measuring these things by Earth styles.
Every incremental detail. We need to know how long a moon is.
But yeah, there's also a little interesting because we also remember that they did have a reunion in the pilot, which was, but then again, that could have also just been for the Summer Sun celebration rather than part of the normal reunion cycle, since the Summer Sun celebration isn't usually held in the town where the family founder lives. So they probably could have just decided to hold an out of cycle gathering to celebrate the celebration, as well as to help set up the festival.
Yeah, and if they haven't actually said how long on the length the moon is. Jason Thiessen only said that it has no human equivalent and left it vague.
Did they really have a reunion in the first episode?
Yeah. Yeah,
they did.
Well, if it's not a reunion, there is quite a reasonably large amount of Apple family members in that scene when Twilight meets.
I don't really think that was. I think it was more along the lines of they had other families helping them prepare for the Summer Sun celebration, since they had a big part in it.
It could be a combination of both, though.
That was what I was.
But it wasn't like their actual family reunion.
Yeah, that was what I was just saying. I mean, they probably didn't have like an actual family reunion at that time. They were probably just all gathered for the celebration.
Yeah, because if you remember in Applebuck's season later, or AJ tells Twat, I like that all the people that we saw all the others that we saw in the first episode were only there to help. I forget what the actual dialogue was, but she said they were only there for the Summer Sun celebration, went off to their own farms afterwards.
Can I just mention one other thing, that at the very beginning of the episode, the amount of places in Equestria that are name-checked that are then subsequently shown on maps of Equestria, like Hollow Shades.
They never call it a reunion, and it's only about. It looks like there's about seven ponies, and they're the ones that we see more often. So they're probably they're more local, their local family, because they're the Apple family that we see a lot more often than the other ones we saw.
In Applebuck season, they did say it was a family reunion in the first episode.
There you go.
Where do they say that? Because I'm looking through it and I
don't know. I'm looking at the MLP wiki. It was. Let me check the transcript.
Oh yeah, they did.
MLP
Yep.
wikis.
They were just here for the Apple family reunion. Yep. I'm gonna call retcon on that then, because we already know it's been, at this point, it's been less than a year their time.
We don't
episode
know that
1 in this.
We don't really know that for certain.
We do, because in season 4 or season 5 or whatever, it's specifically said a year has passed at that point. So.
Yeah, and of course
the Summer Sun
the big outlier is it can't be set further in the future, because then Apple Bloom would already have a cutie mark. So, yeah.
Well, it's not a freaking TARDIS. Or maybe the barn is a TARDIS.
No, it couldn't be a TARDIS, because the barns in the Apple family get destroyed too often.
That's why it's a time loop. Actually, all the barn destroy is actually just Starlight Glimmer going back in time and destroying it out of spite. There you go.
Wouldn't she be doing something to annoy Twilight more than Applejack? She's always had a beef with Twilight, not really Applejack.
She has a separate
unless Fluttershy still never got over the Bats episode with her, with the argument that they had there, and she just hitches a ride with Starlight to do that, but basically just to annoy Applejack.
Anyway, yeah, I would think that they probably either retconned that or just forgot about it, because they obviously make it pretty clear that they haven't seen these people for a while in this episode. So, oops. They probably just missed that little tidbit.
I got a better explanation. It's a cartoon, damn it.
Fuck you. It's my cartoon. This is like the pinnacle of writing, and friendship is.
Oh,
magic.
if this was your cartoon, Applejack would be in every single scene, every single.
Damn
episode.
right. You're damn right. She better get a spin-off.
Applejack cooking with Applejack.
Yeah, I'd watch it and I would cook along with it.
Whip,
Everything would have apples in it.
whip, stir.
Oh, I want that in Applejack's voice.
Whip stir, whip stir, whip stir.
You know what, Mr. Ben? They should have, and thanks for the memories. They should have had the sudden nuclear winter destroy the barn. Just cut away and just seen it getting blown away by the nuclear winter explosion.
I would have loved to have
That would have
seen
been great.
No, they should what they should have done every time they went, they went to a different timeline. The barn got destroyed in a different way.
That'd be great.
So like the changeling attack one of several of them just attack the barn and destroy it.
It doesn't matter what
the other one
timeline you're in, the barn
attacks
gets
it.
destroyed.
Yes.
Well, considering that Applejack was replaced by a changeling in the one timeline, that would have been nice to have seen.
She was wasn't she was in both of them, wasn't it? Wasn't she replaced by a changeling in both their appearances? I think. I don't know.
No, she was there during the Sanra timeline, and then she was there in the Chrysalis timeline.
Oh no, you're saying something completely different. Never mind.
Yeah.
If M. Night Shyamalan was writing this, the twist would be that Applejack's parents were actually changelings.
Dun dun dun.
No, it would be something like Twilight's her parent. Twilight's her mother.
No, Starlight Glimmer is her parent.
Twilight and Starlight. Their parents. It would be like, it would. Too bad Applejack didn't go back in time. It could be like the Futurama episode where she's her own mother.
Her own mother. Yeah. Just like Fry's his own father.
Yeah. It'd be fantastic.
No, he's his own. Sorry,
He's his own
Fry's
grandfather.
his own
yeah.
Grandfather. Yeah. Sorry.
But we can't have her be her own grandmother because we already know. We already have.
Well,
her.
no, she could be the other grandmother. She wouldn't have to necessarily be Granny Smith's. Because we all have two grandmothers, so she could be the other grandmother.
This is getting really weird to think about.
I smell a fan fiction.
I'm sure it already exists.
They're also
Oh my
related
God.
to Rainbow Dash in the kitchen sink.
Oh God. What were we talking about again? Apple Family Reunion? I forget.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we were talking about Rainbow Dash getting it on with a kitchen sink.
Welcome to CQ, everyone.
And for once, it was a man who brought up the reference.
Hey, we'll
first.
have some time after we're done with season 3 before season 6 starts. We should do an triple E on that fan fiction.
You know what? If we've got time after this, I could just read the fan fiction for us all to enjoy.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You need some bread after we're done here.
Okay, I'll read it sometime during Saturday stream then.
Oh God.
It's fine, we're talking about all these weird shifts now, right?
But the good news is CQ Rifts is only going to be an hour long because that's how long the anime.
We do need to do a CQ riffs on bad fan fiction.
It's not. Do you know the funny thing about that kitchen sink one? It's actually written completely seriously, and that's why it's so freaking hilarious.
Exactly.
It's actually written reasonably well, and that's what makes it all the funnier. Is that it's played completely straight.
Oh my God. So, what else about the story in Apple Family Reunion?
Well, I liked the bit when Rainbow just had some alone time to think. Sorry, I'll be serious.
For a minute, I thought you were going to bring up that. Well, I think it more goes in the animation humor. That bit that bit where Rainbow Dash is helping Applejack fill the barrels with rain, and then she accidentally unleashes lightning and fries Applejack, and then just Rainbow just gives a side glance and just whistles like she wasn't responsible for it.
Oh. A trout in a sandwich.
Tuna sandwich.
I'm not a big fan of trout.
You're gonna eat it and you're gonna like it.
No, I prefer cod or haddock or mackerel.
I'm more of a battlefield person myself.
Excuse me.
I get the joke.
I got it straight away. It's just I've got my hands at my face.
You can't see it, but he's face palming so hard his hands are behind his head.
Yeah.
Can't believe it actually took me a couple seconds to get the joke.
How sort of reasonably unmemorable this episode is that we're talking about a lot of different things during this episode.
No, that has nothing to do with the episode. It just has to do with how scatterbrained we are.
It's the CQ way.
Yes.
And it's funny you bring up Rainbow Dash and the kitchen sink, because last night on Power Rangers they had that episode where the monster tells people fall in love with machines, and you get these crazy crack ship jokes that we made in the chat because they had Bulk and Skull falling in love with a motorcycle.
Wow.
I spell another fan fiction where it's a love triangle between Bulk and Skull, a kitchen sink, and the Power Rangers.
Anyway,
I need to stop thinking it's scary.
I did like how we get to see a lot more kind of flashbacks here again with Granny Smith, sort of like we did in the previous season, and kind of it really kind of expands her character, kind of seeing her, you know, how she was in the past and younger, and, you know, and interacting with her cousins and stuff as well. Another thing that they had brought back is they brought back those two stallions from the previous season as well in the Derpy episode from season 2. So that's a nice little bit of continuity there, because of course Applejack would know them.
That was probably like the last really great Applejack episode, and everyone just calls it the episode with Derpy in. That's as much as I like Derpy, don't get me wrong, that is the one thing that really does piss me off about.
I just couldn't remember the episode.
I can't remember the name myself.
It was the last round.
The last round.
But I'm horrible at remembering names.
I think that's a brilliant Applejack episode. In fact, honestly, I think it's a better Applejack episode than this one. Honestly, but that's personal opinion on that one. I'm not saying this episode's bad at all. It's just that I think it delves a little bit more into Applejack's psyche in that episode than it may necessarily here, because whilst this episode kind of deals with her sort of dealing with failure, it's kind of a different kind of thing, whereas it was a lot more sort of pride in a sense when it came to last roundup. It was sort of a combination of pride and obviously necessity, because obviously she wanted to be able to, like, you know, raise more funds for helping out with the farm, whereas with here there's as much at stake, but if it goes wrong, it's not quite like life changing in a sense. I'm probably not making a lot of sense here. It's basically it's a case of if she fails, she's sort of let herself down in a sense. I mean, and you could say she's let the family down as well. Whereas obviously, okay, I'm just not making a lot of sense here, really. It's a kind of a different thing, I think. But then whereas she tried to run away from her problems in last roundup, here she sort of stands up to them a lot more, or at least tries to stand up to them too much, and it kind of sort of goes the other way.
Yeah, the last roundup was much more of a character kind of study than this one was. This one was more about, I mean, like that. Well, that one was actually about Applejack's character and a character flaw in her pride. And that this episode here is more just about, it's more about what a family reunion is and Applejack failing to understand that. It's less about having us learn something more about Applejack and her character, and more about learning what a family reunion is and should be, and her misunderstanding that. That's kind of, I think that's what you're kind of saying. It's going about discussing a different thing, and I do think that, you know, episodes that dive deeper into character a lot of times are a lot more memorable, just because, again, it's something that usually, if done correctly, is then built upon, in you know, in the future episodes and continues.
Yeah, I mean, I hate banging on this drum so many times, but I mean it's relevant considering this episode was written by Cindy Morrow. But you know, Hurricane Fluttershy was arguably sort of one, in my opinion, one of the greatest episodes to ever do that kind of episode to me.
Because it's like that episode. Like, to comparison, that episode wasn't about what the pig. It wasn't specifically about what the Pegasi do to get water to Cloudsdale. It was about Fluttershy's character.
It does explain that, though.
It does, but that's not what it was focused on. That's not what its ultimate moral was, or its ultimate goal. It was about Fluttershy and her character and her, you know.
It was the framing device used to basically, like you say, to you know, go into that character.
Yeah,
you know,
where in this case the reunion isn't really being used as a framing device to really learn something or explore Applejack's character a lot further.
I think we learn a little bit.
I'm not saying we don't learn a lot, but it's not the focus.
We're not being offered as much, or we're not really learning anything new. We know Applejack has, you know, quite a bit of pride in wanting to be able to do a good job. Basically, that's the be all and end all. It's not a case that she's doing it because she's. It's very subtly different to Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash does it because she wants to basically boost her ego, whereas with Applejack, it's not quite so much. I think it's more the fear of failure than necessarily trying to show off of how great she is.
Well, see, and even in this episode, I don't even think it's really about Applejack fearing failure. I don't think it, until the end, when she actually realized, like, what she's been doing, and failed. I don't think the episode she's ever really feared, except at the beginning when she's, like, first taking on it. The rest of the things, she's just kind of overdoing it, just overcompensating, because she's never really fearing failure. She's just so concerned about making it something the best that, you know, this reunion the best it can be for everyone.
You see, she'd make a good Pokemon trainer. You could be the very best.
Actually, I got a funny little thing here. Give me 1 second. I just pulled it up, no less. Let me toss in the chat room here.
Yeah, it wasn't her fear. That's what I was trying to say there, Tim. It wasn't her fear of failure. It was just her overwhelming desire to make everything the best, to make everything perfect. But
Apple Bloom, I choose you.
Pull puny cart.
Friggin' fruit Zubats.
Considering that the re-releases of Red, Blue, and Yellow were just last week,
and the announcement of Pokemon
doubly appropriate. Yeah, doubly appropriate.
I just can't believe how fast there was fan art basically to to, you know, incorporate Celestia and Luna into the artwork for that. I was just like, oh look, it's here already. That was quick.
We all saw it coming.
Another thing that kind of relates to what we were talking about earlier is just Applejack not only wanting to make this the best or better than previous ones. It's kind of her misunderstanding, kind of that whole thing about, you know, getting family time together and thinking this needs to be the most kind of exciting and like thrilling thing, like she's running some sort of theme park here. So sort of like when we're talking about the cart, you know, the cart there, where it's like, you know, in the past we've always had this nice, relaxing, you know, cart ride through the orchard, and everyone's, you know, excited because, you know, it's a time where you can kind of talk with people in a more intimate setting.
You tried to put the cart before the horse.
Sure. I don't think I've ever heard that analogy before, or that phrase before. But yeah, but you know, of course she thinks that no, that's so boring. So she gets these nostalgia pulled, and it's, you know, now it's going to be this wild cart ride through the orchard, you know, going really fast. Where this has got to be some exciting time for everyone. So she really thinks this whole thing has to be some sort of most exciting, everyone's going to be doing something at all times kind of thing, rather than letting people go at their own pace and just kind of get familiar with people.
I have a question for that then. Do you think that's a bit of Rainbow Dash rubbing off on her in some respects for that then?
No, I wouldn't say so. I don't. It's again just her drive to be the best that she can be, and also kind of, you know, like give her 100%. But also make it like the best of everything.
It's the pressure of responsibility, because obviously previously it was run by Granny Smith, or the last one was, and obviously that's now, because of her age, she's obviously passed that on to Applejack, and obviously it's sort of the weight of responsibility is clouding her judgment as such, as well, to a degree. And whereas sort of before she would perhaps take a more level-headed approach to something, because I think most people would agree that she's the level-headed sort of, you know, character of the main six. Yes. But when there's like pressure exerted onto her, that gets much more muddied, and she ends up sort of pushing a bit too far.
Yeah, in a way, but I still think it's more like I said earlier, it's more about her just misunderstanding the point of a family reunion. You know, she's kind of half listening to Granny Smith and not really getting the subtle context. When Granny Smith is giving kind of the flashbacks of the previous reunions and talking about, you know, like how they used to build the quilt and they never finished it. Applejack isn't kind of listening closely and realizing that subtle context and subtext that Granny Smith is getting about, you know, why they do that and how they enjoy it. She's just thinking, oh, we gotta make sure they can finish that quilt. So she kind of just misunderstands this whole point of a reunion, which I guess you can kind of say is interesting, because obviously Applejack has been to these reunions before, so I guess she's never really taken the time to kind of sit back and think.
But if she's not run it and she's just basically doing her thing, I mean, it's entirely possible that most of the time, because she's basically married to the farm, that, you know, she may well have not been like super involved during it and was just basically tending to the farm. I mean, we don't know for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. It's like, you know, what kind of makes you wonder, you know, what did she do in previous?
Because that's not really. I mean, we see her as like a fillet, you know, a really young, like, you know, almost like a baby, obviously she's probably not gonna remember much from that, and then obviously I would have thought there'd probably have been no more than say one, maybe two subsequently after that, if we think that they're going to be quite a long time after each one. I mean, we don't really know what she was doing during that time really, because it wasn't really shown. So there's a case of that she's not been involved enough to kind of sort of know the full gist of how these family reunions work. But I also feel that obviously, you know, it's being described by Granny Smith, but it's sort of only telling like it's like when you're like told told how something looks, well, rather than actually looking at it with your own eyes. It's sort of, you know, you're getting some of the detail, but you're missing sort of a lot of the sort of intricacies of sort of, you know, the full picture of what you're actually, you know, doing or seeing.
Yeah, and it probably has a lot to do with the kind of the nostalgia filter that you can look at previous years and previous, you know, events and stuff you've been at, where you only kind of remember the best parts of it. And so you might think that the whole thing was this big excitement fest of fun, when, you know, in reality your brain is kind of just sugarcoating the best parts of it. So she has these very nostalgic memories of the past reunions. Remember how fun they were, sort of like how Tim was saying, you know, where she was just enjoying it and not thinking about how it works. And then just kind of when she actually is trying to put this together, she is from, oh man, it used to be so good, you know. But she's trying to live up to a level that actually didn't happen just because of those nostalgic goggles that she's probably wearing. Sort of like how season 2 works. I do like season 2 though. It was still my favorite season until season 4. But I do think a lot of season 1 I do think a lot of people view season 1 and season 2 through nostalgia goggles.
To a degree, I think a lot of people are unkind. I'll be, you know, I'll put it in sort of, you know, in a phrase that sort of, you know, doesn't sort of, you know, demean those that don't like season 3. But I think people are kind of unkind to season 3 to a degree. But it's funny that even it's funny how nostalgia works though. You know, if you remember really enjoying a season like season 1 or 2, you seem to have like a higher regard for it. But I think a lot of people seem to sort of, you know, have this lesser opinion of season 3, whether it be because they just didn't really like as many of the episodes, or the fact that it's only half the length of the other seasons, so it kind of gives greater weight to each individual episode, more so than say the other seasons.
Exactly.
So
the season has less time to prove itself, and that kind of goes into what I was saying about the nostalgia goggles, where what I'm really talking about there and referring to, instead of just putting a fancy phrase on it, is people obviously tend to not remember as well the episodes they may have not liked, or the episodes where they didn't like as much, and then just remember the good stuff. So you look back at season 2, it's like, oh, it had this episode and this episode and this episode, you know, and people just, you know, or season 1, and people just kind of inadvertently just focus, you know, have just these positive memories of the episodes and the moments that they liked, and then you're comparing it to something that's more recent and shorter and more fresh in your head, and so all of the negative stuff and the stuff you may have not liked, or the stuff that you may have not been quite as enjoyable, hasn't had the time to kind of settle to the back of your head, and I think that's how it works in everything in life.
But also, you also got the subjectivity of it all anyway, because it just moving us back to the episode. There are going to be certain things from the family reunion that certain ponies in the family that are going to like more than other things that they do during these reunions. I mean, that's just natural, and there may well be a thing where Applejack sort of, you know, enjoyed more of the tasks which involved delegation and basically, you know, working from a means to an end. Whereas, you know, say like back to this quilt, there is no end. It's just a means of passing time and passing memories and things on from generation to generation.
I heard you say memes instead of memes.
Means. I said means.
Memes.
It's my British accent.
Never-ending memes passing from generation to generation.
It's my British accent. Do you want me to change to a different accent?
Y'all need to change to your American dialect. This is an Applejack episode.
I could just
don't put on your cowboy hat.
I could just go out like Chad. Do what, mate? You know that episode, mate? Right? Yeah, that was like really good, mate.
That one with the apple with the horse.
I'll watch that again, mate.
Oh my god.
Chimichangas, mate. It was like really nice. It was like so tasty.
But it's another kind of going by the chat saying, and that's another thing that happens is a lot of people that had the negative opinions of season 3 are people who watched the show either all the way from season 1 or season 2. So obviously, when you first start something like this, it's a new feeling for you. So it's something that's exciting. So you also have that excitement of discovering something new and fun and entertaining. So once that's kind of settled in and it's just become the norm, then you start looking at stuff a lot more critically rather than just kind of enjoying the ride. So yeah, I think that also has something to do with it.
You become a cynical asshole. Otherwise, you become British.
I knew you were going to say that.
So it all just comes round to the motto of CinemaQuestria: don't be a dick.
Don't put the dick in your mouth.
Oh.
Really?
That's their. Are those two separate rules? I'm sorry, I forgot. It was clouded. My memory was clouded there.
You see, you're just suffering with Applejack problems here. You're just going way too far.
Way too far.
That's what she said.
Oh boy. Don't put a dick in a sandwich in your mouth. What?
Dick sandwich.
Oh, shut up, chocolate milk. There we go.
So once we put a dick in a sandwich in your mouth, can we wash it down with chocolate milk?
Yes, sure, why not? Matt, you can do whatever floats your boat. Hi, welcome to CinemaQuestria, where today we're talking about Apple Family Reunion.
Where we end up talking about dicks in a sandwich.
See, and this is, I'll make a nice analogy here. See, we're just having fun. We're having a good time, which is what the family reunion should be, rather than focusing on making this the best Triple E ever.
Good way to twist around and try to connect it to the episode.
See, everything has a purpose. That was totally planned. We're just showing you what the episode's about. Oh gosh. Anyone else have anything else to say about the story or the writing in the episode? I really can't think of anything else. But if someone has something, please air your grievances now. I'm
gonna be brutally honest. It's far from Cindy Morrow's best work for the show. That's not to say it's bad in any way, but she does set herself there is some pretty high standards. If anything, I'd say Family Appreciation Day probably does some things that basically based around the concept of family better than this episode. I think that episode is extremely underappreciated. Go watch it if you've not watched it recently. It's a really good episode.
That is still one of my favorite episodes of the show, even after 5 seasons. That one still, it was so well put together.
It's an episode that it's one that's kind of understated, but it's one that's just so really.
I don't understand how that is. I don't understand how that episode is understated because it's. It definitely deserves better.
I think it's overshadowed by episodes around it. I don't think it's necessarily the episode itself, but I mean, you've got that episode, and then you've obviously got Sisterhood Social and Hurricane Flashback.
And again, that episode's a little bit more character focused as well, and focusing on on sister relationship more specifically.
But it's Rarity about and family, though. It's just
I know, but in general terms. But I'm trying to relate to what I said before, where that one's very focused on a character study between the relationship between the sisters. Rarity and Sweetbell, as well as Applejack and Applebloom. Where this episode here is just again more focused on what a family reunion is. And that's and kind of what spending time with your family should be,
Because I mean, the pressure is on Applejack in this as well, though, because by the sounds of things, from what we hear from the opening with Applebloom, it seems to me that not always every member of the Apple family comes to these reunions, which obviously, to be fair, that makes sense because if you've got a job that you've got to be doing, or if you just don't have the free time, or you just don't feel like going, it makes that makes sense. But the fact that they've got virtually everyone going, that obviously puts a bit more pressure on you as well.
Thanks Discovery Family for tweeting out, "Should you let a dog lick your face?" That's asking the hard-hitting questions there on Twitter.
Do you know what? They need to put that picture of that Hasbro from that Hasbro shorts from Pound Puppies on that.
Oh fucking god. Oh, you haven't seen anything until you've seen on your YouTube front page a man in underpants eating shit out of a bowl.
Well, it's not
posted by
really
Hasbro.
shit. It's dog food. It's dog
it's
food.
shit.
Let's be honest.
It's shit. That's poo.
No, if you were watching Breadwinners or Pickle and Peanut, then it probably would have been shit. But because it's a classy show from Hasbro, it's probably dog food.
You know what
that really makes it much better, but still.
They really need to show that show about making Applejack whiskey again on Discovery Family. That was quality family entertainment right there.
No, you just made it quality family entertainment by just having pictures of drunk Applejack all over your screen when you were streaming it.
What? What you mean? Oh, sorry.
That was basically me, the stream.
This here? There we go. There, that's yeah. I still have them. I haven't deleted this button yet. Oh god. That's if you want a summary of the episode, here it is right here. This is the summary of Apple Family Reunion.
Don't get drunk.
The best family reunions are the ones where everyone gets drunk.
Even the kids.
And the link I posted in
chat. They're gonna eat it sometime.
Drunk Apple Bloom, that would be terrifying. No, drunk Sweetie Belle. No, that would be terrifying. Especially if she ends up with an idea whilst drunk.
I'm sure that's how Rarity came up with her emergency edible boots. You know what I need to make? I need to make some boots that I can eat in case I don't want the boots anymore.
So that's why Pinkie Pie was acting like she was in One Bad Apple then. It was just all that cider just got to her.
It got to her. Well, let's move on here. And let's talk about.
We've been stuck on story writing for the past hours.
Well, that's nothing new. We usually spend the most time on that. No season arc or theme relation. Moving on to the characters and the characterization. You can start off, I guess, with Granny Smith. Talk about Granny Smith's character and her portrayal in this episode.
I must be mishearing things. I thought I said, and her betrayal in this episode.
Her sudden and inevitable betrayal.
It was nice to see some character building on her, especially her interactions with some of the older family members.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I agree. I think I definitely like seeing more of her in the past. We got a little bit before, but here we actually have her talking and a little bit more interaction. I mean, because all we really know of her, all we really see her as is the old pony, as Granny Smith. But here we actually see, kind of see her in a kind of a different light, and it kind of helps build her character a little more.
And my neck, ow.
It was also kind of cool seeing her, you get a nice little kind of snippet of what the family reunions are all about in those flashbacks as well, and just how much fun she's having, and having them poking fun at like one of their other cousins and stuff like that. It's a nice other side of Granny Smith that we don't always get to see, especially up to this point. We definitely seen a lot more of Granny Smith in subsequent seasons, but not quite a bit outside of her kind of stereotypical presence in previous episodes. with her biggest presence definitely being in the not family. What episode was that? Was that Family Appreciation Day? Yeah.
Which episode were you talking about? When we see more of Granny Swift's backstory?
Well, when we get the whole backstory about the creation of Ponyville.
Yeah, that's Family Appreciation
Okay.
Day,
Yeah. I always get that episode name confused with a Sisterhood Social episode, which is like Sister Appreciation Day. The Ponyville creation myth. Ponyville wasn't created; it evolved.
It was born from a mother town. It was then excreted out and landed in just randomly in Equestria.
So what you're saying is Ponyville is Canterlot's excrement then? That sounds
Sure,
like something
why
a
not?
unicorn pony would say.
Yeah, that's actually what sounds like one of the high snobbish ponies who live in Canterville, I would say.
Or Rarity when she was away from Ponyville.
Let's see. How about just in general, some of the other family? Anything that anyone has to say about some of the other family, extended family?
Babseed was Babseed.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting to see her again that quickly. I think a lot of people after one bad
we never see her again.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were saying that after one bad apple was like, well, there's Babseed, hope to never see you. We're never going to see you again. But didn't even take.
You never know what the future may hold. I kind of do.
Really?
I kind of do.
Yeah, Golden Jack, collect all 6. There's your blind bag right there. I do like how she kind of coughs out some glitter in that scene.
But I mean, what I like about I think Apple Bloom in this episode does seem to be a little bit more grown up in this episode. I think it's probably the first one where I'd say she's definitely. What I like is that she's in an episode where she's not talking about getting a freaking cutie mark. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean the most we get is a little continuity about the Manhattan branch of the CMC, and that's about it. But I would be hard pressed on the episode if it didn't mention that.
I just love the idea that the CMC decide to take a trip to Manhattan with, say, like some of the older members of the main six, some of the members of the main 6, and they go and meet Babs, and then she obviously still trying to continue doing the Manhattan branch of the of the CMC, and because obviously Manhattan is a considerably larger place, they have like all these younger ponies that need help, and they're like overwhelmed. I think that'd be a good idea for an episode.
Didn't Babs even mention? I'm sorry. Didn't Babs mention that?
What?
It's like every time we keep talking, we wind up talking over each other. I'm sorry. Okay. Didn't Babs even mention that they actually had like 2 fillies or 2 foals wanting to join the Manhattan Crusaders?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Alright. Of course, that won't work as an episode because Babs has her cutie mark now, but.
Everyone has a cutie mark now.
It's a twist because no one likes Twist. Actually, no, Twist does have a cutie mark. I know. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Burn that cutie mark off.
It's not a cutie mark at all. It's just a tattoo he's just stuck on his flank, so he didn't get the Mickey taken out of them.
That's how they should have reformed Diamond Tiara. Instead of what they did, they should have just had her and the CMC unite and just making fun of Twist. They could have found their common ground there, because everyone hates Twist.
the secret is it was actually Twist all along inside a Starlight Glimmer suit.
Her whole point is to stop the CMC from meeting. That's the entire reason.
Why would the hell she go all the way back to stop Rainbow Dash from doing the Sonic Rainbow? That makes no.
Because that would cause them never to meet, because they wouldn't have gone to Twilight wouldn't have gone to Ponyville. It's the butterfly effect. See, this is why Twist sucks, because her plans suck. God. It was who was the other one? The Apple Rose. It was I believe it was Apple Rose who was the one that Granny Smith was hanging out with in the flashbacks. It was kind of funny seeing her and Granny Smith's antics, and it was sort of like she was almost sort of, I guess you could say, like the Rainbow Dash to Apple, because how they were doing a lot of like pranks and stuff like that, and that other poor pony with the fake teeth that they were always making fun of.
I remember, wasn't she like one of the great aunts or something like that?
Yeah. But then at the end of the episode, I think they laughed it off because Granny Smith accidentally knocks her teeth out, but then they all have a good laugh about it.
Let's see. Is there any other of the? We got to see so many different apples from so many different things. We got the ones that came in the balloon. There's a few that had like a very Canadian accent, as well. The ones that were making the fritters had the Canadian or like Minnesota, like don't you know, accent. Well, I mean, you all your DVD releases just suck. Over there.
We still haven't had season 3 yet.
That's some promptness in getting those released.
Actually, no, we have had season 3. We've not had season 4. Sorry, I tell a lie. The problem is the season 1 sets. I can't remember the name of the company that was doing them. I think it was Screen Vision. They went bust, and it was moved to another company. Yeah, brilliant.
Bon is just there. She's just undercover.
Yeah, she's undercovering. She's investigating the records of the bar, or because it's her day job, given how many times that the bar gets wrapped. She has to make sure there's no suspicious activity.
I don't know. I don't know why Flitter's there, but.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because there's only so many models, character models that they have. So.
Flitter's either just a friend of the family, or maybe she's actually married to one of the stallions or something. She maybe is actually part of the Apple family through marriage. I have no idea. There's also a Pegasus. There's also a Pegasus next to Flitter as well. That's not circled, but you could definitely make out the image of the wing, like right there. So, say, it's not this photo. Let me see if I can find the other one. But there's a photo where actually one of the ponies is a unicorn as well.
Yeah, I do. And that's something we saw in what was the more recent? It wasn't in the Apple family, but in the one with Trouble Shoes in season 5, when they went back to Appaloosa, where there was the one that one Appaloosan pony that had wings, which I enjoyed seeing as well. you don't want an orange. Do you want to go to sleep, Matt? Because that's what an orange family reunion would do to you. All that poshness and quietness while they're sipping tea. I don't know, maybe you would like that.
You know what? You know what would keep me awake if there was an annoying orange.
No,
I was about to say an Orange Family reunion would sound like it'd be more annoying than anything.
That would be if they ever show the Orange Family, they need to have one that's just completely obnoxious. Subtle humor.
Say, speaking of the oranges, didn't Aunt Orange and Uncle Orange actually make it to the reunion? Yeah, they did. They're actually right there in the back in the link I just posted in.
Yep, there they are. You're right. I actually never noticed that before. And
the link I posted is Apple Bloom and Bav showing off their tactical headgear.
Oh, I see what you did there. Tactical.
The only reason I posted it was to make that stupid pun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also the one German pony from
Uncle Strudel?
Strudel, yeah. Apparently he also made everyone made this reunion.
Yeah.
Apple Bloom was not lying when she said everyone was coming. I guess finally, to end the character discussion, then move to the star of the show with Applejack and her character. I mean, like I said before, it really isn't a character. I mean, it's Applejack's episode, but it doesn't really do much with her character. Like we said before, it was more of just kind of focusing on the story and then what a family reunion is, and Applejack kind of missing the point there. I guess it does kind of say a little bit about her character in terms of kind of she can be a little short-sighted, and very focused on delivering her best and the best, of course, especially for her family, where she kind of just completely misses the point in that.
Sounds like me working here sometimes.
Oh God, that GIF.
That's what happens every time somebody hits the barn.
Yeah, I guess I would say it doesn't do much for their character in terms of actually building the character. It just kind of uses the character for the story, her character for the story.
Sorry about that.
It's fine.
Okay, let's see.
I apologize, I don't mean to be yawning during the episode myself. And we lost someone.
It was Matt.
Oh, yeah, okay. And he probably just dropped that for a second. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's redundant. It does something new, and like I said before, while it has a couple aspects of her character that we've seen before, those character aspects really aren't the focus. I mean, it's not really about her stubbornness or even about her overexerting herself like she did in Applebuck season. Applebuck season was all about her unwilling to ask for help and all about her overexerting herself and trying to do as much as she can to be the biggest help that she can be. Where this one, she isn't really overexerting herself. She really does succeed in what she's trying to do. She's just kind of lost sight of the point. And she can be like that sometimes in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now. I can't word right now. half baked. Oh, there you go.
That's just me every day.
Let's see. Anything else for the character discussion here? Before we move on.
Winona is best dog.
Just some couple of minor things here. Not really any real character development, but I do notice some like heartwarming stuff between like some of the character interactions. Like Applejack sitting on her big brother's back to put up the last of the decorations before the reunion begins. You know, when the hayride goes wrong after the fruit bats appear, you see the members of the Apple family jumping to safety before the wagon crashes. And for a split second, when Big Night jumps out, you could see him having Granny Smith apple rosin on applesauce on his back, which is pretty sweet of the big guy to make sure his elders are safe. Apple Bloom just sleepily entering Applejack's room to see why she's still awake, and just the two of them just sharing the bed together. Just a little nice warm sister moment.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of good, while there might not be a lot of character development, there was definitely, like you said, a lot of good character moments. The scene with Apple Bloom and Applejack was really kind of a touching, kind of nice little moment between the sisters there.
Even Apple Bloom was overjoyed to see Babs again. So.
Mm-hmm. And Babs too as well, which was nice.
Yeah, it was even heartwarming to see her mention that she was actually in a new school.
No, that's very true. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that was a nice little touch on that. I mean, especially considering that she was, being bullied in her old one from the last time we saw her. So
yeah, it's a nice little bit of continuity to see that she actually kind of took the advice that Applejack gave her from that episode and got into a better situation because of it. That happened so quick, I completely forgot it. I just watched the episode too, but it's a nice little bit of expansion on that episode. Nice.
So the moral is Applejack is always right.
Yes. Well, we knew that. Like saying the sun rises in the morning.
Just walk right into that one, didn't you?
She's actually half left, but
Oh my gosh, this has been terrible jokes and puns with CinemaQuestria. We're here all night.
So this is just CinemaQuestria on a normal day, then.
Yeah, pretty much. Release the puns. Let's see. You can move on to the voice acting of the episode. Is the next part. Anything that stuck out to everyone with the voice acting here?
Ashley Bow was on point, but then again, seeing as how this was an Applejack episode, that's kind of to be expected. Also, even though this was just fan art I just listed, I kind of wish we would have seen something like this in the actual episode itself, like Rambo Dash just sneaking into the reunion, try to get some cider or something.
I'd have preferred seeing Rainbow trying to nick some cider.
Yeah. To be fair, Pinky would be probably more the type of person to try to pull something like this, just to try to get to the fritters or something.
I do have to say that I really liked Tabitha as Granny in this episode. I think she did really well. There's a couple time like comedic lines that were really well delivered, and then of course we also get to have her actually voice act as a kind of a younger Granny Smith as well in the episode, where in the previous flashback it was all kind of sepia and just with narration over it. We actually didn't get to hear the younger Granny Smith speak in that. But yeah, of course, Ashley was great as Applejack, going through all the different emotions, and of course, actually, getting a big singing number as well in it as well, and sing really well in Applejack's southern voice. So.
Right, except for the only problem is because of her southern voice, it does make Ray's list does sound like suspiciously like something else.
I've never ever thought that sounded like that. I still listen to this day, and I can't hear it. Definitely not to the point where it's all you can hear.
That's because I'm not used to hearing southern voices. I'm more used to hearing, "You what, mate? You want some chips, mate?
You want to race this barn, mate?"
I'm not gonna lie, I never heard it myself, but then I was there when we saw it live in the chat room, and the freaking joke just sort of wrote itself effectively. I never heard it until I saw it, and then I listened to it again. I was like, okay, I can understand where some people could see this or could possibly hear it, but.
And I really do hate that thing, because I think it overshadows the song. Whenever anyone hears that song, that's the first thing they say. It's like
Truth be told, when I hear the song, when I hear "Raise This Barn,"
Raisin. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think of raise as in to raise up. I think of raise as in RAZE, as in to burn to the ground.
That joke makes more sense to me, because obviously it's pronounced the same. But it's okay. They've already raised the barn.
Yeah.
That happened earlier in the episode. Actually, Matt's right. In the remix on the MLP remix album, that one does legitimately sound like raisin, because literally it's just them saying raisin over again.
I think they specifically changed it so it didn't sound like racist.
Racist. Let's see. Okay. I don't really think there was much else. It was nice hearing some of the other older ponies have some voices as well in the flashbacks, and with her other cousins, and of course you had, like I said earlier, you had the Canadian, Minnesota accent of the other ponies. And holy crap! Just how about that Philly Applejack too? The more apple fritters. It's just like, it's cuteness overload. Let's see. Moving on. Humor is the next point of discussion here in the episode. So, what does everyone think of the humor in the episode? Or
are we talking about intentional or unintentional?
Either or, I guess.
Because the unintentional humor sucks, because I just can't stand the fact that people keep calling it racist.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I don't know. If I was standing there eating an apple fritter, I would totally be enjoying myself there. I do like the whole thing with where is it here? It's earlier in the episode. Let me find it. Of course, well, first off, we have Applejack using Spike as a lighter, which is still one of my favorite kind of visual jokes in the series. There, that just use the Spike lighter. Then we had with Rainbow Dash's appearance, and she's helping Applejack fill up those water buckets, and it's like, yeah, thanks, and then she accidentally electrocutes Applejack and just kind of nonchalantly whistles. It wasn't me, totally wasn't me. Not nonchalantly whistling to the side there.
Let's see. Granny Smith says that they never found great Auntie Applesauce teeth in the jars, and Applejack just breaks the fourth wall.
Wait, how did she break the fourth? I may have missed that, or I'm forgetting.
She just gives a worried look to the camera.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see.
Settled though. This settled. Of course, hey, there's also another continuity thing is with the I missed that earlier. You know, with we get the second appearance of the. Hey, and that was also in a lot of continuity with the other Cindy Morrow episode here with the glitter, with Applejack being covered in the glitter there.
See, it's not just M.A. Larson that does this shit.
Yeah, there's her coughing out the glitter. The glitter.
There is one major difference between Cindy Morrow and M.A. Larson. Cindy Morrow doesn't have an infatuation with wings.
Or signing things. Or signing wings.
Or signing wings, in fact.
Yeah.
When M.A. Larson gets wings delivered, he doesn't sign for them, he signs them.
I hate to think what he's like when he goes to KFC.
I'll have one of everything.
I'll have one chicken wing. No, he goes round to every single person that's in the restaurant at the table and asks, "Have you got chicken wings?" And they go, "Yes," and he just signs them, and then he goes to the next table.
Oh, I hope he signs them with barbecue sauce. That'd be fantastic.
Related to the glitter, there was like right there with Pinkie Pie, she was pouring the honey right out of the beehive, and then not only that, she pours it like directly into her mouth and then burps up a bee.
Yes.
Only Pinkie. There's a lot of humor to be had also in the episode, sort of like with Applejack kind of not understanding what's going on. A lot of not really laugh out loud humor, but just kind of roll your eyes and chuckle humor as she just completely misunderstands. Like when she gives the Granny Smith and her cousins the powered sewing machines, and of course they can't even talk over them because they're like gas powered.
Not only that, but they rattle so loudly that they literally shake Aunt Applesauce's new dentures right out of her head.
Yeah. There's also with Big Mac is deep frying the apple fritters, and he's kind of like he darts his eyes around like is anyone watching, and then he just eats one off the plate. I love this face that Applejack gives him. He's just like more nonchalant whistling here.
Say Apple Bloom giving the Wilhelm scream.
Oh yes. And Apple Bloom, and also Applejack, making Apple Bloom and Babs and all the Phillies do all those ridiculous tongue twisters where they can't even speak.
Say, I can't feel my tongue. Me neither.
I see Apple Bloom is still good at spinning plates though, even though she lost that cutie mark.
Yeah, nice little callback on that one. This is getting slightly back to the voice acting, but Babs' delivery of like, is that the finish line? It's like a mile away or something. just the way that she delivers that line.
Yeah.
And then Apple Bloom just delivers a deadpan. Seriously, from the same scene.
Hey, there's another callback to One Bad Apple there. She said seriously in that same way in that episode.
Granny's is a little rustier in the giddy up since the last time the apples all got together. Oh, you may be a tad old, Gally, but you're as feisty and full of spark as... Who are you calling old?
Triggered. I do like that Applejack's trying to get this picture of everyone enjoying themselves, and she just kind of pans the camera on it, and everyone is just like exhausted. Like, look at this pony on the left here. Her eyes are nope, kind of like these derpy, like closing one eyelid before the other because she's so tired. Or when Apple Bloom and Babs are discussing everything behind the haystack, And Apple just like appears suddenly appears behind the hay there. You can't hide from her. Oh yeah, and one of the funniest thing of all, hey, guess what? The barn's destroyed again.
Yeah.
One of the running jokes of the series. Yeah, you can't escape. You can't escape her.
Funny enough, and there was another, along with AJ, there was another dark face, because when Granny Smith does the flashback of her younger self doing the three-legged race, one of the four-legged race, one of the other ponies has a dark face and sticking her tongue out.
Yeah. Anything else for the humor? I don't really see.
Got a couple of them here. During the song, there's like, Applejack sings the line, "Get down if you're scared of heights." The look on the pony's face when she's clinging to the crossbeam, like she's like had no clue how she even got there to begin with. And then similarly at the end of the episode, amidst the other pictures from the reunion and the subsequent barn raising, we see a pony, I believe his name is Bushel, unspecified relation, being lifted in the air onto the crate, but looking down nervously. This big, strong, broad-chested stallion apparently having acrophobia. So.
I will say that this episode really did encapsulate kind of that feeling of not seeing some family members for a while. And in the scene here when they all the family arrived, and you see like two of the young fillies like hugging, and then like one of them like giving the other one like a noogie on the head and stuff, and I guess some of the other ones. That whole feeling there was really well pulled off in that scene with no dialogue.
Another little heartwarming moment is quick shot during the preparation, but Apple Bloom's bucking a tree by herself, so you can actually see like, hey, little girls growing up here. So where's another one here? Little points of something that I found was actually pretty interesting. At the end of the children's competition, all of the foals collapse of exhaustion except for Babs. So little mare's tougher than she looks. But
there's no doubt in that, though.
Yeah, I forgot about the Apple Bloom riding the steer there.
Oh god, that animation is so weird. Oh, something about that animation is just weird. Especially when you remember that that particular animal is you can talk. It's more sentient than some of the other woodland creatures are. Let's see, how about we've about reached the end of the humor. How about the animation and the visuals of the episode? It was nice seeing. Obviously they had some characters that maybe were questionably there because they were trying to fill it out, but they still had a lot of characters and new character designs for this, and we pretty much see any country or Apple related character design that has been in the series in the past make an appearance in the episode. see this here. Oh yeah. Oh, I see it. These two images are related. Yeah, one of the points I did want to make was the design. I really liked the design of the fruit bats, where they were actually like fruit bats. So like we get. Let me see if I can get the close up of this one here. Let's see. Let me wait for it to come down. There. Ah.
No.
Of course, I paused at just the wrong time there. See if I can pause at the correct time. Well, that's good enough. So like you can see, like here's the red, the strawberry fruit bat, and it has like those kind of like the yellowish seeds on the body there, like a strawberry would have. It was a nice little touch and a nice little play on the term fruit bats, where they are literally bats that are, well, made of fruit. Oh, see you, Matt. I guess you already had left the call.
Yeah, he did.
Have a good night. Yeah, he needs to bread. But yeah, I did really like that visual design, and also the whole when they're actually traveling through the air there. That's a nice little making that rainbow. That was cool. Let's see, where's the next thing? Gosh, where is this? That was at the beginning of the episode. Oh, here's one thing while I'm here. I did really like the, here we go. The design of the, anyway, someone had mentioned this before, the design of the airship that they had there. It has like these wings on it. It's like a boat with wings. And it was really weird looking. But, you know, hey, you know, I guess some people in the Apple family are a little more technical. And again, these airship ponies here with their big goggles on. That was kind of, I really like that design there. Yeah, where is that? Sometimes it's hard finding specific frames. There we go. Now, of course, I got the Philly Applejack design there with those big solid black eyes and more apple fritter. That was that's too much.
No. All the heart attacks that were caused that day.
I didn't survive. I do also say the animation. I'm not going to try and pull it up here, but when we were talking about when they were going around the when Apple Bloom made the Wilhelm scream after they were running around the tree. The animation there was really nice. The kind of like this 3D effect on the tree there, where it's spinning around with the background constantly rotating. So that was a nice little
of course, the animation
there.
Oh, of course, in the animation visuals, that big Rattlejack goes by rattles, and she pulls those hub, and she's got like 3 apples crammed in her mouth.
Yeah. I actually had an image. I didn't grab it, but there was an image of that I had where Applejack with the 3 apples in her mouth, like right next to a dog with 3 balls in his mouth, like 3 tennis balls.
I don't really have anything else on the animation. I don't think on this episode. There's a lot of characters to animate here, though. Some very big crowd shots, especially during the song and stuff. So. Let's see. And
excuse me.
Anything else for that? We'll move on. Otherwise,
I think I'm all right.
the next thing we got is, hey, we actually got a song this time. Not a lot of songs in the meat of this season. We got the song in One Bad Apple, and now here's this song, and this is pretty much the last song of season 3 until the finale, which of course is packed with songs. So let me.
Seriously, Magical Mystery Cure just like took up the entire slack of like the lack of season 3, of lack of songs throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Race this barn, 1, 2, 3.
So I really like this song. It's just something that's a lot different than most of the songs that we've heard in the series before. And it just has some really good fiddle part to it, and of course the banjo in the background. And of course, finally getting to hear Applejack sing in her own songs. We haven't really heard her sing much in the series, outside of little parts and other songs with the rest of them, where all of the main 6 are singing. I know one of the complaints about the song is the lyrics aren't that great, and they really aren't. But I mean, when's the last time you've heard bluegrass or a hoedown kind of song like this that actually has very meaningful or good lyrics? I mean, usually they have a lot simpler lyrics, so I've always attributed it to more the type of song. And they very much hit the nail on the head with the kind of song in terms of the lyrics and the melody. I mean, these kind of songs are supposed to be simple, that everyone kind of sings along. And of course, I love I love songs that have a big choir in it, like they do here. It's funny if you ever listen to her sing in her actual band. There are a lot of songs where she actually does sound a lot more like Applejack. Her normal voice is a lot closer to Applejack, obviously, than Rainbow Dash, just without that very strong country accent. So it is kind of funny listening to some of their songs, because there's at points where she sounds a little bit like it. Yeah, I really like especially the backing track of the song. Sure, the lyrics aren't great, aren't nothing to write home about, but they're not really supposed to be. But the just the backing track here with just all the banjo and guitar and the fiddle parts here. Hey, she could tour with Rara. If you want to know what AJ sounds like without an accent, just listen to Ashley Ball speak. That's pretty much what it is. Let's see. So, anyone else have anything else to say about the song here?
Almost wish it was a little longer, but you only got 22 minutes to fill, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually one of the longer songs. Yeah. Well, it's about standard for the entire show. It runs a little over 2 minutes. It is the longest song with the exception of the season, with the exception of True True Friend, which is a lot longer. It is actually longer than what my Key Mark is telling me, which surprises me because it seems like it's a longer song. Gonna need a montage. Montage. It's one of the things about the story that I do find kind of funny, where the whole thing is about, Applejack's kind of pushing everyone too hard and trying to make the best they can be, and it winds up that half the ponies are more like they're working, especially like with the ones that are making like the apple fritters and stuff, and it's becoming more like work. So how do they solve it and make everyone have a good time? Oh, let's all build a barn. Have I'll have to. It's hard labor.
It's
But it's
funny.
okay because they're singing while they're doing it. They're having fun.
It's funny that that people in the chat are mentioning remixes of the song. What's really funny is that apparently in the novelization of the first Equestrian Girls movie during the during the Camelot High School coronation, they actually in the book they play a remix of "Raise This Barn."
Wait, what? In the book they play a remix of.
Well, they don't.
It confuses me.
I mean, you can't hear it. It just in the novelization, it simply says the DJ spins a remix of an old favorite, "Raise This Barn." That didn't sound correctly the way I said it. The book plays a remix.
The book plays a remix. It has a button and you press it, and the remix plays.
I did not word that correctly.
I know what you meant, though. I know what you meant.
Yeah, but yeah, I enjoy the song, but basically, in most of the soundtrack, the backing tracks in this episode, but basically that's because of my upbringing and liking country music. Like, I like the fiddle and the fiddling harmonica track that was going on earlier in the episode when AK is, in the main six are gathering the supplies for the reunion.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm not really a fan of country music at all, but just hearing the fiddle just start right off like this just kind of makes me just start tapping my foot and bouncing my ankle and all that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get into this.
It's the better kind of country. It isn't like the slow. I hate slow twangy country.
I don't really care for those. Yeah,
like a lot of Johnny Cash stuff. But I've had people like play that in like the car before when I'm like riding in the car with some people. And it makes me feel so claustrophobic because it's just like this song is just gonna drone on forever.
Let's say, yeah, when it's more like upbeat and bouncy like that, like a square dance type of music, then yeah, I can get into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, anything that's more slow and drawn out and twangy, twangy's not so bad. Just so long as it's not like drawn out.
Yeah, it's not the twangy part that's bad. It's just usually one of the prominent prominent things in those kind of songs, those slow country songs. But yeah, and it also leads this. I would say this song is really catchy just because of its simple melody and obviously simple lyrics. Anyone can count, so. And counting like that is common in these kind of songs too. So it's not just the writers being lazy. I have gone to I've never actually square danced, but I have gone to something like that, and I've gone to like a bluegrass concert before in West Virginia a long time ago. So it's really it is really fun, and that whole scene kind of really encapsulates that when people are just getting it really encapsulates that feeling and that kind of being at one of those kind of concerts, because everyone kind of gets up and kind of just randomly dances around and claps and sings along, and just pretty much just has a good time singing. And that's something that they really show well in the scene, as well. So let's see. I can move on to the score now of the episode. One actually does have a theme or two in it that are reprised quite a bit through the series. Let me see what we got here. Let's find the tracks that are worth playing here. I guess the first notable one. This theme is actually a little earlier in the episode, but this is the easiest one for me to find. And this one's this motif is I call it a minute's rest, and this one is actually been used quite a bit in subsequent episodes. Oops. Ah, come on, computer. I just want to remove an apostrophe here, please. I can search. So,
when we went back in animation visuals, there was a. Well, I know we're on score now, but I just noticed there was an animation goof during the song. There's one during the moment where Apple Bloom is singing her solo verse. If you look at Babs, her eye colors Apple Bloom's instead of her normal one. I didn't notice that until just now.
Changelings. Oh. So this one's been used in a few episodes. Usually the Applejack one. So it's definitely been used in Simple Ways, Leap of Faith, and Cutie Bloom and Gloom in season 5 as well. It's been used a few more times. Those are the notable ones. So let me just play the theme here. So yeah, so that's the Minutes Wrestling. That's been used quite a few times for it in the series, and that's used. That kind of is one of the main motifs for this episode, and it appears a few times along with one other one. Let's see. We also got here's the fun montage in music from the from them setting up for the reunion.
Oh yes.
Wonderful harmonica here. So that's that one. That's a really fun one. Really like their harmonica in that. Let's see. We get some of the more somber tracks here. Like when here's the one where out after the barn is destroyed. And this one is actually reprised at the end, near the end of the Pinkie Apple Pie episode in season 4, after Pinkie Pie goes back to town to get some more scrapbook paper, and the Apple family is kind of all sulking over how bad of a family they've been kind of showing themselves to be to Pinkie Pie, and that theme there was reprised in that. And then of course here we get the Minute's Rest motif reprised again. Kind of a little more extended here as well. Finally, after the after the song, we get the final track, the Apple's Departing track, and this is another one that's been used a few times since this episode premiere. This is its first appearance, and it's been used a couple times, and again, it's one of the Apple family, Applejack kind of motifs. So it's been used at the end of Bats, also at the end of Pinky Apple Pie, at the end of Brotherhood's Social in season 5, and most recently in season 5. At the end, just before the big song in the main attraction, right before that, as Applejack is kind of consoling and like rah-rah in that episode there. It's kind of become like a conclusion motif for Applejack episodes. And again, it goes back into that motif that's been throughout the episode here. Hey, and then here's some music we don't get anymore. This is one of the traditional letter writing motifs here. This is very kind of nostalgic themes here. Really, in seasons 1 and 2, with the exception of the season 2 motif that was used throughout season 2 a little bit. Really, in seasons 1 and 2, the biggest motifs that we had used in between episodes were the letter writing themes, where each character kind of had their own little motif when they were writing a letter to Princess Celestia, especially in season 2 when it wasn't just Twilight writing letters anymore. But of course, starting this season here and going forward into season 4 and 5, we have quite a bit more music that is used throughout to represent different characters and situations, more so than seasons 1 and season 2 were. So. Let's see, and that's it for the backing music. So the theme and the moral of the episode. What does everyone think about the episode's moral?
One of the few times where my current catchphrase generally doesn't fit the doesn't fit.
Got to give the episode credit for that then.
Yeah. Say
Applejack kind of was unintentionally being a dick to everyone, though.
Yeah, I guess she was. Unintentionally, yeah.
That really wasn't the lesson, though.
Yeah.
Don't be an unintentional dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick, inadvertently or otherwise. I guess the moral that I'm coming away with this is don't try to... It's kind of similar to the one with back in season 1 where she was trying to take the farm by herself. Is she was trying to she was concerned about making sure that everyone had the best family reunion ever, and she was trying to do things kind of like by herself, since this was her first time basically being in charge of the whole shebang. She just kind of went a little overwhelmed, a little too... She sort of just dove in head first without really thinking. And I guess the moral here is just don't try to overwhelm yourself.
Yeah.
So at least one of them anyway.
Yeah, and also what I was saying in chat there, yeah, the reason why they don't write letters anymore, besides the show maturing a little bit and not kind of, and thinking it's no longer required to outright state the moral at the end of the episode like they did in the first two to kind of clarify it for younger viewers. really, the whole reason why they don't send letters anymore is the whole reason Twilight was sending letters is it was part of her studies with Celestia. And of course, after this season, after she ascends to princesshood, she's no longer Celestia's student or anything like that. So they don't have the letters anymore. They kind of they tried to what's the word I'm looking for? Change it a little bit or adapt it in season 4 with the journal, and that kind of replaced the letters in season 4. What was the friendship journal, and they used that throughout that, and then of course that wound up being a plot device as well for the finale. The journal of friendship, and then by season 5 they just pretty much completely transitioned away from having to outright state the moral at the end. I do think Mr. Ben stated the moral head on for this episode. It's again, it's not really about a character. It's about what a family reunion is, and it's all about sometimes you don't get to see people that much, and it's you shouldn't worry about trying to make everything the best, because if you worry about that and you try way too hard to try and make something good, you're probably going to wind up messing it up.
Trying to please everyone just winds up pleasing nobody.
Yeah, so it's all about hey, sometimes it's best just to enjoy yourself, enjoy the company of others, and go from there. And I think it's said best by Applejack in her letter, where as time goes on, you're not gonna remember necessarily the what, you're gonna remember the who, which I think is a really good moral. That's a really good way of putting it. It's the who that you're going to remember, not really the what. And I think that's a very, very true and mature statement there. Of course you're going to remember the who. Is there a band called The What? That would be there, because if there isn't, there should be. Let's see. So I guess let's go ahead and conclude this. What are everyone's favorite parts and any concerns for the episode?
Just the song, and one of my favorite parts, like right there, obviously. I suppose that the other favorite part is, Baby Applejack.
Oh gosh.
Oh yes.
I want to live. Yeah, I really liked seeing. I like the flashback. I really liked seeing all the Apple family. And I do think in the end the episode really does have a good kind of message to it.
So beyond that, I don't really have any real concerns.
I really can't think of anything about the episode that I think should have been improved. I mean, like we said earlier, it's not the most memorable necessarily of episodes, maybe with the exception of the song. It's not the best of the season, but none of that knocks the episode at all, and I wouldn't count any of that as a concern.
Actually, I do have a small minor concern. It's not so much an actual concern as it is just more of a something that makes me scratch my head. But I'm sort of curious as to how Hasty Turnip Truck is actually related to the Apple family, because you see him actually in the family photo right there at the end. But
he was at the reunion. He was there throughout the reunion. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of kind of curious, like what his actual relationship is. So.
I mean, we don't know most of the people there what their relationship is. These are all very distant, relatives as well. Cousins, second cousins, that kind of stuff.
It's just something that kind of strikes me because, it's kind of like Aunt and Orange and Uncle Orange. I mean, we got, the orange is slightly related, but then was like, oh, hey, we got turnips as well. So it's like, one of the. I mean, turnips aren't even a fruit; they're a vegetable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the whole thing here is that I guess all of their family is some sort of farm related thing.
Yeah.
But you know, some of them are more distant than others. So you got the apples, you know, then you got it. I guess you can kind of see how close or far apart the family is by it. So you got the apples, and you've got a lot of the really close apples, like apple fritter or apple dumpling, or you know, some of the other names that are dropped throughout the series. And then you got some that are more distant away, like oranges, who are a little bit more distant relatives. It's still a fruit though. And then you got the ones that are really distant relatives, where they're just a completely other thing, like a vegetable or something. So I guess it's maybe kind of like a visual analogy or a name analogy to how close or far apart they are in relation to the actual apple family. And then of course you go completely off left wall, and you go to the pies,
Yeah.
who are another food, but not a fruit or a vegetable. And they're of course Pinky if she is related, she's a very, very, very distant relative. So even that whole naming analogy even comes into play with that. So I guess
Well,
it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's a food that you can put a fruit in, so sorta.
Who isn't inbred in the apple family? Oh gosh. So how about overall feelings and conclusions for the episode?
We need to see more Apple Family, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Agreed. Agreed. I will say that as and this isn't a knock on this episode because this is all the way back in season 3, but I do think I would love to see more episodes with Applejack that don't involve the the rest of her family. So Applejack's episodes that focus on Applejack, but without Apple Bloom or Granny Smith in them, because it seems like whenever we actually do get an Applejack episode, it always involves the family, and of course that plays to her character because the family is very important for her. So I can forgive it in that respect, but I would like to see more episodes in the future that revolve very specifically on Applejack and don't involve Granny Smith or Apple Bloom or Big Mac. And until this season, I would also say, until season 5, I would also say I'd love to see more episodes about the Apple family that don't involve Applejack. You know, focusing on Granny Smith or focusing on, you know, Big Mac and stuff. And that's actually, of course, something we got in season 5, thankfully, with the Brotherhood Social, which focused on Big Mac and Apple Bloom specifically, without Applejack almost in the episode at all, which I really, really enjoyed, and that's something I was waiting for a long time as well. And we do get some more episodes with Granny Smith. It'd be cool to maybe have an episode of her that was less involved with the rest of the family, but we kind of had that in season 4 with the Flim Flam episode, where it was a little bit more focused on her as well, but it still involved most of the family. But yeah, like I said, whenever we have an episode that focuses on AJ, it's always with her family. I mean, there's of course exceptions, like in season 5, where the map episode where it focused on Applejack and Rarity. There's plenty of episodes that focus on Applejack without her family, but it's always kind of in a pairing with another character, like Applejack and Rarity in the sleepover episode, or in the Manhattan episode in season 5. It's barely something where the main focus of the episode is Applejack. Even with something like with the last roundup, which is an episode that does focus on Applejack without focusing on the family. Applejack isn't in that episode a lot because it's all about the kind of the main 6 finding her and trying to figure out what's wrong. So that would probably be one of the closest episodes to an Applejack episode without the family.
I'm not gonna lie as well. When I saw Tim's comment about Solo Jack, I just kind of had the mental image of Applejack as Han Solo.
Well, and the funny thing is, she was in the season 2 finale, in the parody Star Wars scene at the end of the season 2 not finale, the season 2 premiere. When they parodied the Star Wars, she was in that scene. She was Han Solo. So that's kind of true.
Wasn't AJ Solo in the Reacted Like Ponies video?
The what one?
The Star Wars Reenacted Like Ponies video.
Probably. I don't. I haven't. I've seen that like once, and that was a long time ago. So, but I believe you're right. Yeah. But they probably pulled that right from the episode there. And Spike is actor, of course. Oh gosh, yeah. That's still one of my favorite things of the series. That was so well done. So any other final conclusions?
Definitely a cute episode.
Yep.
Yes.
Definitely recommended watch.
Yep. Okay. Well, with that, thank you so much for coming to this week's Equine Episode Examination. Next week we will be diving into probably one of the more the next few episodes that we're going to, well, really all the other episodes up to the finale are definitely the episodes that are a little bit, I would say, more controversial in the fandom. This one probably included, but as we go on, there's always a lot of flack given to Spike at Your Service and the Equestria Games episode, and of course the finale. So we'll definitely have a lot of stuff to discuss going forward there. So next week it's everyone's favorite Spike episode, Spike at Your Service. So we'll definitely have a lot of stuff to talk about with that. So make sure to join us next week for that episode.